All right, microphone check.
Microphone check. Yeah, having a good time. Here at the tip top.
Yeah, yeah. All right.
Cheers. Sir.
So the tape's rolling. Well, guys, welcome to Tip Top. And I wanted to bring you guys in today to discuss stand-up comedy, kind of the comedy scene in Huntsville right now.
Stand-up comedy.
And what you guys are doing in that area. So Dan, I know you recently did the Moonshine Comedy Hour comedy show, Moonshine Comedy Show, excuse me, here at Tip Top, and
It's a great night.
yeah, I think we filled the house out. Everybody seemed to enjoy it.
We had a blast.
Yeah,
We had a blast.
And Scott, you were the headliner for that.
Yes, I was. Which,
Yeah.
so kind of fun. It was a really fun show, and I'm I've been in Huntsville a very long time. I remember Tip Top from way back,
Right.
So it's kind of cool to be able to come in and do a comedy show at a place that really has so much Huntsville history. So
Yeah.
it was really cool.
So were you like me? Were you sneaking in here when you were 16? And
I came here once when I was a teenager. Yeah, I snuck in, and the one time. But this, Tip Top is up there with like the Chicken Shack,
right.
places that had such a history that weren't around anymore. So it was really cool when we found out, Tip Top was coming back,
Right.
and then when Dan was talking about wanting to start a comedy show, we spoke and we both agreed, like, I think Tip Top would be a great place for it. So.
Oh man, the first time I came in here, it's set up so perfectly for live performance. First time I came in, I was like, we've got to find a way to get into this rotation.
Nice.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it was ideal. It was ideal, and it's a great mix. It was like, first of all, there's plenty of space for people to spread out, but it doesn't feel spread out. Everybody's still relatively close to the stage. Good mix of comics and locals were here that night. We went late, which was a lot of fun.
Oh, really?
It was great. Yeah, we went to 11.
Unfortunately, I didn't get to come that night. So
Yeah, Evan
didn't
kicked
see
us
it.
out at the end of the show. We were just like, don't have to go home. You can't stay here. Kind of thing. And then for another half an hour, everybody was out front just hanging out.
Oh, wow.
It was fantastic.
excellent.
Yeah, it was a
Well,
good
I'll
night.
Great.
Make sure to get a note to Evan. Don't kick anybody out. You let them stay and hang out as long as they
Yeah.
want.
No, everybody was tired. Everybody had a good time. It was
Good.
perfect. It was
And
perfect.
had a good turnout for the open mic portion. I guess.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Yeah, lots of comics signed up.
Yeah, it was a blend. I think the show kind of flowed through from the start to the finish. They didn't even notice that kind of part of it was an assembled show, and then the open mic just continued to roll right after that. So
Yeah, so that's kind of what I wanted to bring you guys in. I think just to like clarify like how it works. Like
yeah,
to the layperson, it might just seem like it's just an open mic, but it's actually not, right?
well, yeah, it
is and it isn't. The
It
first
is and it
half,
isn't, right?
not.
It's kind of the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Is the nice way to say it. I think it's an open mic. We want people to work on new material, and it's really locally focused.
But the
So
first half of the show is actually those people are curated.
It's a
Yes.
curated mic, right? So we
Yeah.
want people to get into the rhythm. We want to set a good pace. We want to have good energy, and then having a headliner, I think that really worked well to anchor the show, kind of a first half, second half,
Mm-hmm.
and allow people who are here for the first hour and 20 minutes to just enjoy a comedy show. And then if they filtered out later, it didn't really matter so much.
Yeah.
But we ended up going 2.5 hours for the whole thing because a lot of people showed up. There was a lot of energy
Hell yeah.
for the open mic.
Yeah, it's good to give comedians also a space to work on longer sets and have that curated feel to, you know what I mean?
Right,
So like
Yeah.
open mics are great, but you do an open mic for the purpose of hopefully being able to do longer sets on
Sure.
where you get invited to perform,
Right.
and so you give the people who are on the open mic a reason to come to work on the material so they can hopefully be on the first half of the
And
show.
how long did they get the open mic, Scott?
In the first half, the kind of in the run up to the headliner, everybody got 5 to 6 minutes. Then the headliner did 20 to 25, which
But then just the sign up open mic people.
right. And then for the sign up open mic, most of the sets were 5 minutes, but we
Dude,
let
to
everybody
me,
know.
that's huge.
We let everybody know. Look, if you're working on other stuff, if you got a show coming up, if you want to do 7 or 10, let me know. And we had a couple of longer sets. We let people kind of expand. And in fact, I think our hottest open mic set of the night came from somebody who was a little bit right at the edge of the light, but they had so much energy that they were bringing on. That was Ashlyn Lutz, who we hadn't seen out doing comedy in a bit. She's been focused more on improv.
Did she do it St. Stephen's that time a while back? Is that the
She
same
did,
person?
yeah. She was at St. Stephen's.
She did the fisting bit.
Yeah,
Oh
and
my-
let me just tell you,
Dude, I was behind the bar like this, like folded over, crying.
Yeah.
let me just tell you that the skills that she's added through improv leveled that up to a point of perfection. I mean, she had the
I
audience
missed that.
in a vice. They could not get away from her. It was
Yeah,
fun to
because she
watch.
just
It was
keeps
fantastic.
twisting and turning, and you think she's done, and
That's right.
when you come up for air and she hits you again, it's
That's right.
like, God, she is fantastic.
Yeah, and
That's
she did a
awesome.
really great job. And it was,
Yeah.
I think it was playful that night. We had the room to kind of expand into that. It was great.
Yeah, they go a little dark, so you didn't have to stay too clean.
Yeah, right. And that's the other thing too. By that point in the show, it's about 10 o'clock at night. You know, anybody
Yeah.
who was tired of comedy or comedy wasn't their jam, they had already left. But we still had an audience, and there were people that, I mean, it was great. They had never heard anything like that in their lives. They'd never been talked to like that by somebody from the stage. It was
And
fun.
and then not only someone talking, it's coming from this tiny little woman with
Right.
this soft voice, like it's so off-putting. Like, wait a minute, that just came out of her?
Yeah.
Like,
So surprising.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
yeah, she's fantastic.
She really played. Yeah, she really played it well. So what we want to
What?
try to do, I think I'm going to move her up into the curated portion of the mic for this next go round.
for sure.
The one here at the end of June.
So was that June 24th?
June
I don't have my
24th.
calendar. Yeah.
Yeah, that's our next
So
show here.
Wednesday, June 24th, will be the next one, guys.
That's
and
right.
I think it's huge that you're giving open mics that much time, because I've done a lot of open mics, and it's just like, I mean, the most I ever got was 3 minutes. You know, so the fact that you're allowing someone to go 7-10 minutes is huge.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess it can backfire if you get somebody that's sticking up the joint, but
for sure. It's not it's not an exact science.
yeah,
And
Yeah.
you live and you learn, but at the same time, that's part of to me, the allure of comedy is like anybody can do it, but not everybody can do it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's a lot of people say comedy is the lowest entry into entertainment, but it's also the absolute hardest.
absolutely.
Because you're literally getting feedback in the moment.
Yeah.
You know if it's not good right then and
Like,
there.
I've played music on a stage, and
Yeah.
I've done stand-up on a stage, and the
Yeah.
music is 10,000% easier. You just close your eyes and get lost in the song. You're not-
I do music as well, and like
Oh, yeah,
with,
of
with a band especially, it's like you've got your bandmates. You know, you're all together. It's kind of armor a
Yeah.
little bit. It's you know, and then people are just so they can get lost in the music, and they don't notice if one bad note or things like that. With stand up, you're on an island. It's just you.
Yeah.
Everybody's super focused on exactly
And when
what
it
you're
doesn't
saying.
hit, man,
And
it's
if it doesn't hit it, it can be excruciating. But that's one of the things. It's like you live and you learn. That's what open mics are for. Open mics are literally the gym, so you can get stronger to go perform.
so. For those of you who don't know, Scott is one of the front men of the Beastie Boys, which is a
Yeah.
Beastie Boys tribute band that are
Yeah.
absolutely fantastic, and
Thank you.
they kill it. Y'all just did a show last weekend.
We did, yeah. We were in Cumming, Georgia. We did the Luso Amphitheater. It was great. We had 4,000.
Nice.
Wow.
That's
It was
fantastic.
great, man. It was great. It's yeah. I highly recommend if you're ever in Cumming to go check out the that complex. It's really cool.
Yeah, I saw the
and,
videos. It looked pretty cool.
Yeah, it's great, man. It's great. It's a city run event, so we do it every year, and
That's awesome.
yeah, we had a blast.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, it's music and comedy are. There's a lot of parallels and there's a lot of differences too.
Yeah.
And I've been doing comedy a long time, and it's my first love, and it was very important to Huntsville to have these kinds of shows that Dan's trying to put together. Is that before 2011 there was no comedy in Huntsville. There was
And now
nothing.
is that when
That's when we
Stand Up
started.
Live
No,
opened,
Stand Up
or-
Live came along in 2017.
okay.
We started Epic Comedy Hour in 2011. Justin Ledlow started that. I came on as a producer along with Tim Kelly, and
And then there was
Before-
another one that I think his name Patrick Cunningham was involved
yeah,
with.
we don't
That
talk
was-
about him.
Oh,
No, that guy.
Sorry.
That guy's a piece of shit.
Before my
There
time.
was one I went to at Low Mill, and probably
So we
12,
Epic Comedy Hour was at
2012?
Low Mill. He ran a show at Low Mill for a little while too.
What, the
called
Clockwork?
Clockwork
Yeah.
at
Yeah,
Prototype.
yeah.
Yeah, which was a
Yeah.
great show, but he sucks. He's not a good guy. But yeah, so when we started, there was nothing going on. There was no comedy here. It was like every other year, Jerry Seinfeld might come to the BBC. But there was no open mics. There was no place to perform. No anything. So just a group of us decided, I mean, if you can't go to the circus, bring the circus to you.
Absolutely.
So we started doing shows, and it grew, and the next thing you know, we had a club and lots of great opportunities. And as time goes on, things ebb and flow, so it's always important to stay fresh and try to find new venues, new avenues to reach out to people, and give comics the stage to perform and to fail and succeed. So that's what's so important about open mics, is that it's not only fun. Some of these guys that you see at the open mic are there because they lost a fantasy football bet, or they think it'd be funny to tell a street joke.
Yeah.
But, some of the guys up there are literally, and ladies, and all the people are up there.
They are welcome as well.
Trying to build trying to actually make this a part of their life, like a career.
Yeah.
So
I know the first time I did stand up, I kind of stacked the deck, and it was at Copper Top, and I told everybody, and I mean, I packed that place with my friends and family and whatnot, and I'd worked on this bit for so fucking long, and it killed, and I was just like, this is awesome. So then I was like, all right, but now I need to go back. I'm not going to tell anybody, and I'm going to use some material that's kind of new, and I tanked, and it was just like,
well,
and I was like,
Copper Top
okay,
was tough.
Yeah, I like this. I needed that. I needed that little reality check.
Copper Top was honestly, Copper Top was one of the first full open mics that we had. When we first started doing comedy, we didn't have open mics. We were crashing music open mics, and they hated us.
Wait, what?
We were crashing music open mics.
No kidding.
We'd go to
go to a music open mic.
Yeah, we'd go to music open mics and sign up, and they'd be like, "What are you gonna do?" We'd be like, "Yeah, whatever, play guitar or whatever." And then we get out there and tell jokes, and everyone hated it. But it was the only place where we could do it.
Did you do that too?
No, that's before my time.
Yeah, this was in the early days.
That would have killed my spirit.
Well, you know what? If you got nowhere else to go, that's what you did. And then the people who ran the open mic, especially the one at Humphreys. That's a very old school Huntsville story. At Humphreys, they ran a music open mic, and finally the guy who ran it was like, "Listen, man, y'all can't do this anymore." And we were like, "Well, we're still going to do it. We're going to try." And he was like, "I'll tell you what. Why don't, when we take a break at the music open mic, we'll let you guys do comedy in between if you don't sign up." And we were like, "Okay." So we did music. They did music. We did comedy in between, and they still hated it. Everybody hated it a lot because that's not what they were there for. It's like, a guy would be playing the guitar, and everybody would be like, "Oh," and the next guy's like, "Look, my dick." So then,
I think
the
Journey covers, man.
Yeah, the first open mic I think we actually had was at Rugby's.
Okay.
Yeah. Still there, little hole in the wall bar over there on University.
Best tots in town.
Oh man, best Reuben in town in my personal opinion.
That's a tall order right there.
Well, again,
I think the Reuben in here's actually
personal opinion. Well, I mean, whatever. You just fucking saying that. Right?
Yeah, that would be one of the reasons.
It's more of a spin on a reason.
Thank you, Tip Top, for hosting us on today's
There's just
podcast.
probably like that corned beef and on rye bread.
No. It's literally it comes out hot. They put it in a pan. It comes out hot. Melted cheese, the whole thing. So it's like it's a different spin on the Reuben, but it's actually my favorite. Typically you think, how are we talking about fucking Reubens right now? Anyway. We did an open mic there for a little while, and then that wasn't working and things like that, because it's always like there's always something. There's Dark League, or there, it just wasn't working out. And then finally, Tom Hand started the open mic in Copper Top.
Oh yeah, he was. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Tall guy.
Tom started that, and honestly, that was probably the best thing that happened. We had shows around town, but we didn't have a really solid open mic. And then Copper Top was every Wednesday.
So how did y'all find each other if you don't have a network? Like that's pre-social media too.
So it was Justin Lidlow. Justin Lidlow was an improviser. He was doing improv, but he was interested in stand-up, and he worked for my brother.
Okay.
at a place called Data Tech USA because Justin is a graphic designer. I met him, we were chatting, and he was like, yeah, man, I love comedy, I do improv. I was like, man, I've done comedy, I'm interested. And he was like, well, I'm starting this show at the Low Mill, we're going to give it a try. And I was like, oh, cool. And I met some other Huntsville comedians through Justin, and the first show that happened was in July of 2011, and 268 people came.
Wow, was that at Low Mill?
That was at the Low Mill, 268. And then that show, from that point on, that show ran from 2011 until 2025.
Mm-hmm.
So it just recently ended, which maybe one day it'll come back, hopefully. But,
I was a huge fan of that show, and that's Epic Comedy Hour, right?
Uh-huh.
And huge fan of that show, and that's really kind of my exposure. I didn't really start coming out until after the pandemic, where I had that pandemic moment of like waking up, like, what am I doing with my life? Why am I all work and no fun? I got to do something creative.
So you had never done any comedy prior to that?
Not here locally in Huntsville, and anything that I had done was all like Christmas party MC and stuff from like high school, college.
Really?
But that was like, I'm an old dude, so that's like back in the 90s.
So when you performed at St. Stephen's that was the summer of 24?
Yeah, I was probably in year 2, year 3.
Wow.
Yeah.
I would not.
I'm about to hit my 4th anniversary doing comedy next month.
And
we're the same age, and that makes me feel very old comparatively.
No, I just wasted a whole lot of time in life. That's all that is.
Golly,
not wasted. Yeah. I had other priorities. I was trying to get kids out of the house.
Doing, all told, like some downtime, including everything, about 14 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're actually starting to get. You've been doing some small tours and stuff.
For a while. Comedy's been good to me. I really enjoy it.
Scott, you've been to Alaska, didn't you? Didn't you go to Alaska?
I've performed comedy in 42 states. 42 states, and I've done like over 50 comedy festivals, and I've toured and had the good fortune to be passed at several clubs across the country and worked with a lot of great comedians. So I mean, it's more than I ever thought when I first started. When I was doing open mics at Copper Top in 2013, I never imagined I would get to do some of the things that I had done.
Zanies, doing Zanies.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But comedy is a never-ending ladder to a ceiling you'll never reach. So
that's life. That's life.
Especially
itself.
now. I mean, the old model was, you do comedy and then you get a sitcom.
Right.
Jerry Seinfeld.
We're going to have to invent our own sitcom. That's
and
next.
Now that's
we're working on that
TV
now.
is pretty much
it's
dead on the vine.
I know we're going to have to produce our own show.
It's changed drastically because of social media and things like that. So
YouTube.
It's a different world than it once was. And that's the rub. It's like you're never going to get exactly where you want to be. So you just have to keep scratching and clawing. It's kind of funny when you look at it. It's all levels. It's like I've been very fortunate to do the things that I've done, but at the same time, so much more to do. Then comparatively to a comic that that's been doing it as long as I might have done more. They might have done more. There's comics that have been doing it for 3 years that are more famous than probably I'll ever be, just because right place, right time,
like
social
blew
media,
up on Kill Tony or something.
You know what I mean? It's like
I think every show stands on its own too. Like every individual show that you perform, some shows are frustrating, some shows are terrifying, some shows are a lot of fun. And like the last one that we did here is almost like if every night doing comedy could feel like the last night that we had at Tip Top. Not to plug Tip Top, but also thanks for having us. But I think that's kind of almost the goal. There was this sense of community. Everybody was having a great time. The audience was laughing. The kitchen was banging. People were having drinks. Everybody was having fun. And I feel like a lot of the comics that performed that night gave the better performances that we've seen in a while.
Sure.
There was like an energy in the room that was driving us. And if it never leads anywhere, if there's never another rung up the ladder, just looking for another night like that is, to me, that's where the beauty is.
Well, I mean, comedy is all about chasing the dragon. I mean, mostly. It's just... I mean, it does get to a certain point if you're really
6 minutes into the podcast, and that is your first drug reference, ladies and gentlemen. I knew it was going to happen soon enough.
Don't worry about it. No, you come to a realization if you're that's the whole thing is like when you look at comedy, there's like I was saying earlier, there's levels. So there's people who are just doing this for giggles. They think it's fun, and there's people who are like, oh, it's my hobby. I don't really care if it ever goes anywhere. And there's people who are like, oh, I mean, I'd like to do that. And then there are people who are like, I've chosen to waste my life on this, And I got a late start, but it's like I'm kind of in that last camp. It's like I got bit by the bug, and like there is no cure. So I love it. I would do it for free. I don't want to do it for free. Don't take that as like don't fucking lowball me. You know what I mean? It's like I'm going to do it no matter what, just because like at this point I have to. It gets to the point where like comedy gets in your blood, and it's like I don't know who I am if I'm not a comedian anymore. Because it changed my entire world perspective. It changed. You can ask my wife because but when I started comedy, I was married and I had my first kid. I picked a really weird time to start something that would literally change my life, and it has. And I think if you ask my wife, I'm a different person, but in so many better ways.
Yeah,
comedy.
Well,
really,
anytime you can be true to yourself,
it really opened me up. And I mean, I was like, your stereotypical like I was a little bit of a class clown, and highly social, and I've always been a bit of an extrovert and things like that, but not to the level that I found when I started to do comedy. And people always ask, it's like, well, how do you get used to being on stage and things like that? Like I had a little bit of a cheat code. I worked for a company where I gave presentations to hundreds of people. I had to. It was my job.
Yeah.
So the first few that you do, you're a little shaky, and then by the time you do 2 a day, 5 days a week for 2 years, you're just numb to the fact that people are there. So it's like that just helped me get over that part of it. And it's like everything else is just like, you just pick it. Some of it you pick up along the way, and some of it, I have to be honest, it's like you're either born with it or you're not. Like Tracy Morgan had a good quote recently. He was like, "There's a difference between being funny and doing comedy."
Amen to that.
There's a difference.
Absolutely.
You can do comedy or you're funny.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'd like to think that I'm funny.
But that's
the goal.
How would you know without putting in the reps? You know what I mean?
Well,
like you gotta come out and see, because
they're not all going to do.
But
that's what I'm saying. It's
see
like
where your instincts are.
you have to find out for yourself one way or another. But it's also like everybody knows somebody that's like that's your job where you're like, Joe's the funniest person I know.
Yeah.
Like that every day this guy makes me laugh. And then it's like if you took Joe and you put him on a stage and you're like, Joe, make people laugh, he'd be like, I can't do that shit.
No.
Because some people are situationally funny.
Yeah.
Or some people, you know what I mean? It's like not everybody has the power to be funny, but also then bring that to the stage in a cohesive package that's going to make people laugh.
And then there's other gifts as well. Like some people are naturally charismatic, some people aren't. Some people are natural teachers. And Scott is a natural teacher, and one of the things I like about our collaboration is just the things you've taught me. Mostly by watching you and saying like, okay, I'm not going to do that. No, but honestly, like you're always generous with advice and generous with your experience, and like showing other people the lessons that you've learned the hard way. And I think that is making a change in our local comedy scene.
I hope so. That's the intent, because honestly, I didn't have that when I came up.
Yeah, for sure.
Most of it was
It seems like the few times I've done it, but it seems when you go to those open mics and stuff, it's like kind of competitive, especially when you're like a new guy. Like the people that've been doing it for a while are kind of like, because I went like before I went 6 or 8 times and watched, and then when I showed up to do it, it was just kind of like, what the fuck are you doing here?
Oh yeah. I don't know if you would feel that now. I think
it's a little bit more welcoming.
I think for a new person coming out now, people are paying attention.
I've had some other ones. I did one not too long ago that wasn't like that, but it seemed at
we
first
definitely,
it was like they weren't really ready to pass the torch and like, here, man, here's what you need to do.
Yeah.
Here's the thing: comedy is an individual sport.
Yeah,
that's
true.
And the only person you should be competitive with is yourself. So I tell people all the time, it's like people are scared of open mics and the fact that like, oh, what if I go? What if I fail? There's no such thing as failing at an open mic. Right. In my personal opinion, you can't fail.
Well,
It's-
I had a guy go before me that spoke for 5 minutes about the conflict in Palestine, and there was
That-
not a joke in it.
No, exactly.
And
That-
like
that's
everybody was just kind of like,
that's not good. That's not good. But at the
I
same,
feel like he failed to the objective.
True. That's not good. But what I mean is, like, here's the thing: if you go up there and you're like, I want to tell these jokes, and I'm scared that people aren't going to like me. Here's the thing: people, they're not going to remember you if you were great
Yeah.
or if you were terrible.
That's
Do
true.
you know what I mean? Nobody's going to remember this experience but you ultimately. That's the
That's
whole thing.
true.
It's like if you get in the if you don't do well and you get in the car, you're the only one in that car on the way home going, "Damn, that was bad." No one else is like, "Do you remember that one fucking guy? God, it was so bad." It's like, no, they're not.
I don't know.
They've moved on.
I-
They're deleting you from their memory as soon as you leave the stage.
I haven't forgotten the Palestinian.
But
Well, yeah, there are some sets that we remember.
well, sure.
There are some
you
things-
you
there's
might
some
key on to
things
remember,
you
but what
can
I'm saying is
say-
in the grand scale of
Yeah.
things,
Some jokes you try to
in the
make
grand
that
scale of
don't
things,
work.
it's literally open mics are screaming into the void, and it's like that's
Yeah.
a necessary evil of what we do. It's like you have to get there. You cannot have the sweet without the bitter. You can't have winning without
Yeah.
losing.
It's
You know
not
what I
all.
mean?
That's
yeah,
why I
it's not all
intentionally
work.
lost like my second go attempt at it because I was like,
You-
okay,
you-
I won.
you have
But
to
there
know.
is a difference. There is a difference
I need to
between a
fail
mic
hard.
where you come in, nobody notices. You get on stage, nobody notices. You do your set, nobody pays attention. You come off stage, nobody sees you. You leave, nobody says goodbye. I've been to those open mics in this town. That is the opposite of what we
Well,
want this to
that's you're talking about
Yeah.
community.
be. There has to be a community
I-
around
I
the solo
agree.
act. to do it.
I agree.
And
There
I
has to
think
be a
that
community
difference
around.
really does change how it feels to do it, which adds something in the interim period where you're sitting at home like, should I write? Am I motivated to write?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does this mean anything? If you know you'll have some people that will at least give you the 5 minutes of more or less paying attention, see if you're working on anything interesting.
That's the rub. It's like it's your job to make them pay attention.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
your job to make them pay attention. That's the thing. It's like that is why what made me a better comic, I swear to God, was Copper Top for a long time was rough.
Yeah.
It was rough, dude. It was a biker bar. Like
Yeah.
I literally
Yeah, back then
we
it
had
was
a
definitely not what
biker
it is
pull a
today.
45 out of his vest at Copper Top one night because he didn't like the jokes that we were telling. And then he was like, "Would you mind if I went up there?" And we were like, "Absolutely not. Please go." You know what I mean? And then he told like street jokes, and then he was perfectly happy. But the guy literally went like this out of 45, hanging under his vest. So it's like that's how rough that room could be. And it was like you had to go up there, and if you made those people stop talking, if you made those bar stools turn towards you,
Yeah,
then you knew you were on to something. But you could also go into the next week and literally you're giving it 100%. Nobody gives you shit. And that literally is like, it's kind of like a boar. You know, a boar will run up to a tree and it rubs its back on the bark to build up a thick skin. That's literally what.
Now,
open
look,
mics
I
can
understand.
be.
Look, there's got to be time for everybody to get their calluses, but there's
Yeah.
also venues that don't make sense for comedy.
Sure.
And when you're doing an ambush show in a bar where people don't want to pay attention, you're already stacked against the deck. Those are unnecessary calluses. That's kind of show design. And what we're trying to do with this is at least create
I'm
some
not saying that this
conditions.
is
Yeah.
Mike.
Yeah, no. I know.
I'm just saying,
Look,
it's
like I
how
said,
things have evolved.
like I said,
Yeah.
I could not have been happy doing
Yeah.
a Murderer's Row show at Copper Top back in the day. That wouldn't have fed the creative little
I don't know, but
little
It-
baby
it-
that I was
it-
trying to nurture and put out into the world.
But to me, it's almost like if I used to play a lot of basketball, and if you just got completely fucking owned one day, like to me that, I guess there's two types of people. Some people would walk out and go, "Man, I suck," and to me, it's just like, "Fuck that motherfucker! I will
Exactly.
be back."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know?
That's the kind of attitude you have to have.
Yeah.
It's like people are scared of open mics sometimes. Do you know what I mean? And also I see comics that who have promise and are good that do an open mic and then it doesn't go well and then how dejected they look.
Yeah.
And it's like you're wasting your energy.
Yeah.
Is
Sure.
what I'm saying.
Sure.
And it's like if the venue like Tip Top is great and you come to the open mic and like it's fire, that's awesome. Like that's even better. But I think you have to be prepared for every eventuality.
Not
So-
every night's going to be golden,
No,
but you
yeah.
don't
At-
have to
at
throw
any point.
suitcases onto the treadmill as people are
Yeah.
running.
Yeah.
I think that's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
is
I hear you.
And
There's an
yeah.
unnecessary element of distraction that doesn't
they-
have to be there.
And what I'm saying ultimately
For
is
newbies.
like, don't be afraid of open mics.
Yeah.
There's
Absolutely.
There's no reason to
Yeah.
be afraid. No matter if it's your first time. Look, everybody is their.
one of the things to your point is we want this to be the kind of show where people can come in from out of town
Yes.
and feel good about driving to Huntsville, either coming down from Nashville or Chattanooga or up from Birmingham or over from Muscle Shoals, coming out to Huntsville and knowing that the trip was worthwhile because maybe they could do 8 to 10 minutes instead of 3 to 5.
Yeah.
Right. This, I think,
If I drove an hour,
we have the ability to
the
do
copper
that
top
here.
experience.
Yeah.
No offense, copper top, but that, as Scott described as a rough room, that might seem a bit deflating, or it might not be willing to make that drive.
Well, I mean, I don't know how far you used to drive back in the day for a short set. Like when I first started doing this, we'd go to Nashville for 4 minutes. If we could steal it.
That isn't. I mean, honestly, I recommend, like, it is good to travel and to go to other cities because you need to know that material that you're working on is universal.
Right.
That it can reach different people. And like you were saying, it's like if it's a room packed with people versus a room of 100% strangers.
Yeah.
And there's no more way to get strangers than to go to a city you don't live, to a place you've never been, and perform and see if it works.
Yeah. But the moral dance point is like you could come to this one, and you don't have. You can put some of those fears aside.
We want to make it worth your time to drive up and
that's what I mean.
Put 5 people in a van, come up.
Making it worth your time is the ability to be like, okay, well, you're from out of town. We're going to give you an extra few minutes to stretch your legs, which is great. But also, like you said, cultivating a community in a warm space that if they do come in from out of town, and no matter what happens, they're going to be welcomed with open arms by the local comedy community. It's like, hey, thank you so much for coming out. That was amazing. Or hey, hey, thanks for coming out.
You can still build some calluses because bombing is bombing, no matter how warm the room is.
Bombing is bombing for sure, and it's like that. That's And I don't. Any comic who says they don't bomb or has never bombed is a liar.
Yeah.
For sure. And it's like bombing, unfortunately, is part of it, but I have learned more from bombing than I'll ever learn from killing.
Yeah.
For sure.
Oh, absolutely.
You learn more from failure in this than you do from success.
And that's pretty much anywhere in life.
It is true, but nobody ever. We don't set out to fail.
Exceptionally true here.
We set out to crush every single time. Sometimes it doesn't work. It's literally how you process that information when it doesn't work and what you do with it and how you can come back stronger. Which I think, again, part of that goes back to community. It's like having people there, other comedians that you can commiserate with, that believe in you.
Or laugh at you while you're struggling. So that you don't take yourself too seriously.
Nothing makes me happier than seeing my friends bomb. It really does. Oh, God, I love it so much.
And plus, it's you get different. You get a different. If you go to Atlanta, you're going to have a different experience than you have in Nashville, than you have in Baton Rouge or something. You're getting different political environments or certain religious type environments, and
I mean,
the Bible Belt, that kind of thing.
Now, is Tip Top still a
in the Bible Belt?
Yeah. I mean, is this still a Church of Christ sanctioned pub? Is that right?
Probably more Methodist.
Yeah, I think that's right. That's not a bad description. It's a Methodist bar.
We actually have a Methodist preacher that hangs out here a lot. So.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, in my travels, it's like a lot of great comedy venues are rock clubs.
Yeah.
It's like it just works because comedy and rock.
Well, that's
and roll
what Doug Stanhope. That was his big thing. He always played rock clubs.
They play rock clubs. They kind of go hand in hand.
That's why we're here.
Yeah. And normally it's because rock clubs have the vibe. You know what I mean? And it's also, to quote Demetri Martin, the best places to do comedy are the places where if there's a fire, you die. You know what I mean? If a fire broke out when you're in there, you might die.
We have 4 exits here.
Exactly.
A sprinkler system.
What I mean is like smaller spaces, low ceilings. The people. You know what I mean? It's like that kind of vibe, and rock clubs normally provide that. Because that's kind of the way they're built, and like this is exactly what I think of sometimes when I think of great groups doing comedy, and it's like I said, the way that it's set up, it's got a big spacious stage. It's basically a box.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And people can sit close, but they also, if they don't want to be involved, you can sit back at the bar. You know what I mean? It's kind of the best of both worlds, because like you said earlier with ambush comedy, like no matter what, even if you advertise on a Wednesday night, somebody's going to come in here and be like, I just want to sit at the bar and have a beer. I don't care about what's going on over there.
Yeah.
So they have a way to not be a part of the show if they don't wish to be.
That's
so
one thing I like about this space versus my previous bar. There was no escaping it. It was
Yeah.
it was so fucking loud in there.
Yeah.
Because there's a concrete tunnel.
Yeah.
That you could be at the very back of the room and it's still blowing your head off.
Yeah,
Whereas here,
right.
you can be up close to the stage and it's loud if it's a rock show or whatever.
Yeah.
But you could sit here at this bar and have a full-on conversation without
Yeah.
screaming at each other.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's right.
exactly.
So
It's set up. It's set up very well, and I mean, I have done comedy in basements, on roofs, in minor league baseball stadiums, and in mortuaries, and in,
minor league baseball.
Oh yeah, a few times. Like I did a show. What was it? Last year, I headlined a show at in Chattanooga at the Lookout Stadium on the third base dugout. I was standing on the third base dugout.
Now, did you have the net between you and the audience?
No.
Oh, okay.
Luckily, they lowered that.
They did it.
They lowered the net.
Lynn Hayes, God rest his soul, put together this music
I know
festival with
it.
Joe
Yeah, I remember
Davis.
that.
Yeah, and it was so off. It was so weird because they had the net up still,
Yeah.
and the stage was like at the pitcher's mound,
Yeah.
and it's just like it was like watching a band in a cage or something. It was really, I didn't realize how big a deal that net would be.
Yeah, I've in my travels, I've been to a lot of different rooms, and like you kind of get to the point where you can have an eye for something that's going to work, something that's not going to work. And in Huntsville, there's only so many venues that are going to be friendly to do comedy.
Right.
So it's important to us to pinpoint those and then try to cultivate something there because, it's like people always are like, why aren't there any shows downtown? And like, in downtown proper, it's like, where? That, you know what I mean? There's nowhere.
We're constantly looking.
There's nowhere
for the
where
right
you can
flow.
put on a comedy show there and that people are gonna want it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
They're there to drink and talk and be loud and have a good time. And comedy relies a little bit on this
Yeah,
whole
that's true.
can you be quiet for about an hour and a half?
Yeah.
And that's not always the right fit for every place. Some places just people don't go there to be quiet.
And the places that are quiet aren't really set up
Exactly.
for a stage.
Sometimes they're too sleepy. You got to find
we're looking for something.
You got to find the in between. You got to find a place. You need number one. It's like you need a solid partnership with ownership. You need the people who are in charge of the bar to be like, we believe in this.
Yeah.
We want this to happen.
And that was your advice.
We're going to help you in any way that we
we first got going on this.
Yeah, we want to help you because it's also the problem is like as a bar owner, you have somebody come in that's a regular.
I think the one that's about to walk in right now.
Yeah, they come in every day and they're in here and they spend money and that's your bread and butter.
Yeah.
But then the first comedy show, they're screaming and they're making a big fuss and we're Dan
They get
like,
offended.
can you be quiet? And they're like, do you know how much money I spend in here?
Yeah.
You know how much money I spend in here? I don't want to be
I
quiet.
don't have a lot of this people.
Luckily, but
Right.
we see it all the time. And then
I don't have a lot of
if
people spend a lot of money
if Dan goes to the owner or the bar manager, it's like, listen, this person over here is being very distracting,
Yeah.
causing a problem. And then they look at you and be like, you know how much money that guy spends in here?
Yeah, that's Ted.
I can't tell
I'm
him.
not
I can't
telling
tell him
Ted
to be
shut up.
quiet. Ted can do whatever the hell he wants. And then you're like,
Yeah.
well, Ted's ruining the show that you're helping to pay for.
This is what you get for mentioning a real name. Now Ted thinks we're talking about him.
But
Sorry,
you know
For
what
the
I mean?
record, I literally know no human being like,
But
at all.
You know what I mean? So it's like that's where that ownership comes in, where they understand and they can be like, Ted, we love you, man. But just like,
Yeah.
either calm down or you know what? Don't come in on the last
And
Wednesday of every month.
Well, I know myself, Evan, everybody that's here, like, I had my ex-sister-in-law told me one time, she goes, John, all you care about is beers, bars, and bands. I said, no, all I care about is bands.
Yeah.
If bands played in yarn stores, I'd be all about yarn knitting and bands.
Yeah.
Right.
But unfortunately, the bands I like playing bars, so that's where I go. And my second love is comedy. So, like when we set out from day one, like, no, this is about the music, not about the scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And I had the same passion.
that are on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
Well, and a wavelength is exactly right. And that's what I picked up the first time I came in here back in January. I came and see a show, and I was moved by the vibe of the whole place. And I think the spirit that you guys have infused this with becomes the spirit of the place, becomes the spirit of the show, becomes the spirit of the audience.
Yeah.
And it's that exact kind of mix that we're looking for.
And I tried to do that at St. Stephen's, whatever. It just didn't work. I don't know why. I guess the room. I don't know. It just didn't work. But
It's a tight spot.
But I met you there, which was awesome. And then so when I got this place and you came in, I was like, hey, we need to do something here. Like, and I want you to do it. So,
I'm happy to.
Dan's the right guy for the job.
This has been fun.
Yeah, we need,
and I'm learning a lot. I have no idea what I'm doing. So I appreciate your patience with me.
We need people like Dan. That's what all comedy scenes need. Is like you have people who want to do comedy, but don't have one thing, or they don't have the time, they don't have the wherewithal, they don't have the skills, they don't have whatever to run comedy shows. And here's the thing: you can't do comedy unless somebody's putting on a comedy show. And to put on a comedy show, you need two very important things. You need a venue, and you need somebody who's willing to do the legwork to make it happen.
Yeah.
And
it is hard. Like, I've tried to just run open mics for music, and you think, oh, you just put a list out. It's not that simple.
It's always way more involved than you anticipate.
It is hard.
Yeah, there's a whole ringmaster element to it that I didn't predict. In a way, I was smoked at the end of last show. I was like, there's a lot going on.
And you know what? That will never change.
Yeah.
No matter how good you get at it, at the end of the night, every time you're like, thank God that's over. It's like, I'm glad it happened. Thank God that it's over. Because it's more, especially when an open mic is, open mics present their own challenges, but you are putting out a list, and then you're kind of like, you're just running the inmates at the asylum. When you add the booked component to it, then you have you're literally doubling the workload. You're worried about two things, because you have to be worried about the comedians that you have booked, you've curated to kick the show off. Then you have to run the open mic, so you don't really get to rest for the 3 hours or so that everything is happening. So it takes a special kind of person to do that, and they don't grow on trees.
Yeah,
it was an aggressive idea to format the show that way, and
it took me a minute to wrap my brain around it, and that's kind of one of the reasons I want to do this podcast. So we get out to the people.
But I wanted to set an
this
expectation
is how this thing works.
of kind of a minimum level of quality for the audience at the first half of the show, as first of all an inspiration for the comics. Because what we'll do is, Scott was our first headliner. We're going to have headliners that come in from Nashville. We'll have headliners from Chattanooga, from Birmingham, from places, maybe Atlanta, if we can get people to drive over. And that becomes another draw for the local comedians to come out and do the stand-up or the open mic portion, because they get to be on a show with an actual headliner, somebody who's got more experience, more time, more
you need to network. And that's such an important part of comedy, is networking.
So is that kind of how you got on the bill? Like, I mean, you're not just you are a billed comedian. Like, you're on the placard. So is that kind of how you did it? Like, you got to go to shows that had where you got to perform for a guy that was kind of up and coming out of Atlanta or something.
100%.
And then
I preach this all the time. It's like, that's one thing that honestly Huntsville has been. Look, the pandemic changed things drastically.
Sure.
Yeah. It's 2026. We're still talking about it because it still has an effect on our lives. You know what I mean? And some things just are great now, but they never got to the level that they were before the pandemic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, local comedy scenes across the country took huge hits.
Sure.
And it was like, comics quit, venues closed, shows went away. So it's like, there's been rebuilding, not only here, but everywhere.
And then audiences
oddly, they were kind of the first thing to come back. They're like Dave Chappelle doing his stuff out in the field.
And part of that in all that went away was we had so many shows here in Huntsville where we had basically like a great minor league, major league system where we had funnels to feed newer comics to get them stage time to make them better, but we had a lot of spots for great comedians coming in from all over the country to come in and be able to perform. And when you mix those two, then you get to meet people you typically wouldn't meet. You get they get to see you perform, you get to see them perform. And they're like, I'm from Des Moines, Iowa, and you're really funny. If you're ever coming to Des Moines, hit me up.
That's when the magic happens. The magic happens when
you work.
That's how it works for me.
You work with Levity Live now.
I do.
Our local comedy club in Huntsville, and so I know I've been to a lot of shows there, and usually the openers are local guys. So, if you get to open for Killer Bees or something, and you kill, and he's like, "You have."
I know Truett very well. What up, Truett?
Then you might get a phone call like, "Hey, well, I'm doing Chattanooga in a month. Do you want to come?"
Exactly.
Okay.
That's the thing. It's like when we first started Epic, and it started to take off. It was like people in the know and all in the region were like, oh wow, we heard there's a really good show, we want to come. And then you're like, okay, great. They come, and then you meet them, and they're like, oh, by the way, I run shows in Atlanta. If you ever want to come over, you're like, I would love to.
Yeah.
And then you go over there and perform. And next thing you know, I met the guy who was like, oh, by the way, I'm the house man over at the Improv. You want to come by and do a guest spot? And you're like, I would love that. And then you go and you get to do a guest spot for, like the first person to ever give me a guest spot on the show is Brian Callen.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So it's like, and that was amazing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was like being able to. I'm on the stage of the Improv in front of 500 people, and it was all literally because doing comedy and being able to meet these people, and of course it was like a huge part of that is like putting your best foot forward when you meet these people. It's like, not only be funny on stage, be pleasant, be nice. You know what I mean? Just like be a good person that want to
don't be hammered.
Yeah, be a good person they want to be around.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like so much that I've done would not have happened unless I met some of the people on the road or coming here to Huntsville that made that happen. And you can ask Dan, I talk about this all the time. I stress it so much. It's like we need shows that are giving an opportunity for these out-of-towners to come in, not only for their growth, but for our growth and the growth of the scene.
Yeah.
Because somebody comes in and they're like, oh, by the way, I booked this huge show and we're at Timbuktu. It's like, and they see somebody here that they're like, you should come do the show. That is a huge opportunity for some of these comics.
Yeah.
And it's their first chance to get out of town or their first chance to go do a big show. And then who knows who they're going to be in front of at that show? Who knows they'll meet there? They'll be on that show with now a comic from California or a comic from New York or somewhere else. And it's like, that's how your circle grows and continues to grow. And community is amazing and like building that local community, but the thing is our local community can only go so far unless you inject some energy from some of these outside sources. And like we need these spaces to bring in these outside comics. And like when Dan and I were talking about the show, he was like, here's what I'm envisioning, and I was like, I agree with that. I think that's what we should be doing, which was the combination of a book show with an open mic. I think is the best way to tackle it. But also Dan's focus on like, well, the first one makes sense to have a local headliner, but after that we should focus on bringing in these out-of-towners just to show them how strong Huntsville is as a comedy scene.
That's right.
But also to give our comics here an opportunity
some exposure to that person
with somebody else. So it's like that is such an important part, and that's literally how comedy is built across the country.
And it's a win-win-win for entertainment in general, right? Because there's such a bleed over between music and comedy. So if we have guys up from Birmingham who see this club and think of it in terms of a band, you get a chance, or Evan gets a chance to talk to them and be like, hey, when you go back, if you don't know Birmingham bands that want to get out on the road, here's this venue.
Sure.
So it's a good opportunity to showcase what I think is like an ideal kind of New Orleans neighborhood bar music venue kind of club, which is kind of rare.
Yeah.
In North Alabama.
True.
But
it's all when you run a show like this, and if it gets legs and it does well, this is the kind of thing where it's like all of a sudden somebody like, and I've literally seen this happen. Somebody of the caliber of Doug Stanhope was like, you know what, I'm looking for a smaller rock bar type venue.
Yeah.
And so, and they're like, oh, hey, what in Huntsville they run the show at a place called, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it's literally sometimes as simple as that.
Jesus Christ. Doug Stanhope walking here, I'd probably just fall out on the floor.
I had I've worked with Doug a couple times. He's a
Really?
great guy. Yeah, he's a great guy, and I don't know. He's still doing it. He's getting older.
Yeah.
But like for a long time, like you said earlier, that's exactly what he did. He was going to cities and like, where's a rock club?
Yeah.
A small club. Because part of it, he wants full control. He wants to be able to sell the tickets because he doesn't want his fans getting screwed over by all these fees and this.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And there's a lot of comics that have that punk rock mindset. You know, it's like we're talking about bands. It's like that punk rock, book yourself, run everything yourself. Pulling up in a van, kind of deal. It's like a lot of comedy has that punk rock aesthetic, and it's like cultivating venues that just can get better and grow to have a reputation in the comedy community. That's how you get bigger, better comics to come through. And it's like if the show goes on long enough, finally somebody will be like, "Oh, by the way, I've got a Netflix special, or I've been on TV, blah blah blah, whatever. I would love to do a one-off show there." oh, that'd be great. And then you could sell a ticketed event, and
Yeah.
get people in, and what better place to have it in a place that's like that's
Yeah.
small. People can be there. It's like you're not going to get a more intimate comedy experience.
No, this
Yeah.
is perfect for Doug Stanhope.
yeah.
So, Doug, if you're
Yeah.
we've got a stage for you, bud.
But
Hashtag Doug
like
Stanhope.
arenas are great.
Dan Price ain't kidding you.
Yeah. When people see comedy in an arena, it's like great. You're like, wow, I'm with 10,000 other people, and that's great. That's also why people love clubs, because
Yeah.
you can see the same comic in front of 300 people,
Yeah.
or you see the same comic in front of 175 people.
No, and that's
Yeah.
so. Look,
I got to see.
such a one-to-one.
that's the magic of this club.
Shit, no, I can't remember that. Never mind.
I saw the Pine Hill Haints was the first show that I saw here.
Oh,
Maybe
yeah?
the second show that I saw here, and it was magical. Those
Yeah.
guys are phenomenal.
Yeah, they
and
are.
really phenomenal in a tight space.
Yeah.
You see somebody playing a wash bin as a bass and an accordion and a saw with a fiddle bow. It
Yeah.
was just something to see in a place like this. The space was half of the magic.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
I think this is.
Well, I'm excited
Sure,
about
yeah.
this, guys. Like, and I want to, like I said, we're going to be doing it every month. This month is June 24th, so it'll be. I guess we're kind of targeting like the last Wednesday of the month ish.
Fourth. Yeah, right now it's on the fourth Wednesday of the month, and
Fourth
that's a
Wednesday,
nice
okay.
offset for what Levity Live has, where there's a open mic for Levity Live, and then a locals showcase or a Best of Huntsville showcase at Levity, and then the
That's
fourth.
first Wednesday and third Wednesday of every
First and
month,
third, and so
unless
then
there's
we have
something
this.
else scheduled in the fourth. And
Right.
yeah, Wednesdays is actually a really good night for comedy. It's hump day,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it's like people need a little something to kick him in the butt to get him over
That's right.
in those last couple of days. You know what I mean?
That's true. I never thought of it that way. That is a good
Well,
point.
especially in Huntsville, we all know Huntsville's growing, but it's still a little bit sleepy. So Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, people are just shutting it down. It's like that. That's how you know you're in a big city. We're getting there. It's like when you go to Nashville. I mean, it is much bigger, but at the same time,
it's banging 7 days a week.
it's a 7 day a week
Yeah.
town.
And you can go to New Orleans on a Sunday, and it's
Huntsville's
cranking.
not
It's like it's
Huntsville's
Friday
not a
night.
7 day a week town yet.
But
Yeah.
a Wednesday here
Wednesday is
also
when
allows
Wednesday's
us to
when
catch
it's
people.
Wednesday's when it starts.
If
Yeah.
you're going to do a Thursday in Nashville, stop
Yeah.
by Huntsville on
Yeah.
Wednesday and pick up a set.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
routing is huge.
That's
It's like
right.
if you're
That's
on
right.
the road and it fits, that's great. But yeah, Wednesday's a good day for it. And, yeah, I just love the fact, like, selfishly, and Wednesday was always my open mic night. It was one of the nights I could always get out and run sets and things like that. So it was like when Dan said Wednesday, I was like, Wednesday, yes.
Yeah, and that's honestly
Yeah.
that's the gap that we had.
Yeah, no.
since,
Wednesdays
Fast
are
Food was-
like I said. I love Wednesdays. Wednesdays are great.
Yeah.
So it's a good night. I think the comics in town are, the first one was great. I think if we can keep that momentum going in the second one, they'll be super excited about it. And then after that, you just need to create your own kind of perpetual motion machine where it just keeps rolling on its own, which I think is what you can build here for sure.
Yeah, here's hoping. I mean, I'm excited for what the future holds.
It's got my full endorsement. So
Yeah.
I'm all about it. I'd love to see it grow into that. I think
Right
it'd
on.
be a beautiful thing. So.
Yeah, so the 24th of June
June 24th,
shows
people.
at 8:00, and then its first hour is a set show with a headliner, and then we roll into an open mic.
Yeah.
and we'll go till we close.
I love it.
Yep.
You guys, come see us Wednesday, June 24th. If you need more information, tiptophsv.com or tiptophsv is our social handles as well. And you can get more information on the Moonshine Comedy Show. Dan,
Rock on.
Scott, appreciate you, fellas.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.